Hello and welcome to the final part of this epic adventure. I know it's so sad, this quest to restore the Triforce and awaken the sleeping Princess Zelda is almost over. But don't worry, we're gonna go out with a bang. We are headed to the Great Palace, one of the most amazing palaces in these older Zelda games. There's a ton of new enemies in there, incredible level design, so it's gonna be very exciting. But first we have to make our way across this bridge with all these Bagu Bagus shooting rocks at us. There was that basilisk there that we had to use the fire spell on, so it was a big pain. Here is the old Kasuto. Right away you'll notice I killed this Moa, which is purple. Normally you could not see him, but since we have the cross, you can see him. So remember, all the Kasuto civilians went and founded a new town in the hidden Kasuto in the forest, because this place got attacked by enemies. But one of the ladies there said that one old man stayed behind. Bless his soul, here's the brave man, and he gives you very powerful magic. I can give you most powerful magic. So he gives you the Thunder Spell. The Thunder Spell does a ton of damage to every enemy on the screen, and it is also required to defeat a mighty foe within the Great Palace, which you will see towards the end of this video. So I really enjoy this old Kasuto because it actually gives a secondary kind of storyline to the game. You can see I'm going in the buildings here, everything's deserted, and it's just kind of interesting to have a secondary storyline where this town got invaded by enemies and everybody had to flee and found another town. And it's kind of cool that it's just hidden in the forest like you saw in the previous video. So I very much enjoy these kind of side storylines and side quests in Zelda games. That's why Majora's Mask is one of my favorite Zelda games, just because there was so much depth to the storyline and secondary quests, aside from just the main focus of the game. But anyways, besides getting the Thunder Spell, there's really not much you can do in this town. Again, I'm just going into the buildings for cinematic purposes, I guess. I mentioned I want to show as much of the game as possible. This is a 100% playthrough. So that's why I'm going into these buildings, but there is nothing in this town besides just grabbing that spell from the brave man who stayed behind. So now I can definitely head over to the Great Palace, and let me show you a trick. If you remember what a pain in the ass it was to get across the screen, not anymore. You can simply just use the fairy spell and fly through the top, no problem, no enemy can reach you. A lot easier, I'd say. The only downside, obviously, is that it consumes a lot of magic, but it's worth it, I think. And I'm going to do it again here, because I do think it is worth it. So right now I'm headed to the Valley of Death, which is the path that leads to the Great Palace, and it's right under this graveyard here. Right here you'll see a bunch of Moas. You cannot see any of these without the cross, so that's why the cross was necessary. And right here is the entrance to the Valley of Death, which leads to the Great Palace, and right away we're greeted by these hooligans again throwing rocks at us. There's a ton of them, and you can see it's just a shower of rocks. It's terrible. Just be patient here and don't get hit, because you're going to need all the health you can get to venture into the Great Palace. So right here there's a magic container in that screen right there. Helps restore your magic, and that's why I used that fairy spell, because I knew there was going to be that magic container waiting for me. So there's a bunch of Moas and Patchers here, but you can just kill them and make your way through this region of the game. There's a bunch of screens that you can't skip. So there, like this screen for example, it is mandatory, you have to go through it. So there's a few of those on the way to the Great Palace, but just be patient in them, take your time. It's not worth getting hit or losing life. And there's nothing you can't handle here, just some Moas, Lizalfos, nothing bad. That jump can be a little tricky, so take your time with it. Right here towards the left, I accidentally got hit by the enemy. But I was headed towards the secret screen, which you will see here once I get out of here. So there's a secret screen here with a points bag, 500 points. If you're still working on maxing everything out, which you definitely should before you reach the Great Palace, that points bag is a great way to go. So again, just be very careful jumping here, because these moas love to fly over you right as you're jumping over the lava. They'll knock you down, and you will melt. You will melt to the bone in that lava. You don't want that, not this far in the game, not this close to achieving your goal. So almost there, just gotta go through these caves here. These are pretty linear with very basic opponents, so nothing to worry about. You can just blaze right through it. As you see, I'm ignoring most of the enemies, not even hitting them. Just trying to cut across as quickly as possible, so I can save the world, obviously. And this guy just does not want to open his eye and die, and it's very annoying. So, you know what? His persistence paid off because I let him live. I got impatient. So, more power to him. So here's another one of those Lizalfos with his bad boy leather jacket. Just stab him in the throat. And continue on your way. And here's another one of them. Apparently come in gangs now. And that stupid jump, again, it's very tricky, so take your time with it. Because you don't want to fall right there. And this is the final cave before we can reach the Great Palace, thankfully. So Blue Lizalfos here gives 200 experience points, so very nice. And here's another red one. They're not very different than the Iron Knuckles as far as strategy goes to fighting them. Find the best ways to just jump and smack their head on the way down. So this is the Great Palace, and you'll see this barrier here. And that's the barrier that the King of Hyrule placed there, but since we put the 6 crystals and the 6 statues, the barrier is lifted, and we can enter the palace and face the test to see if we can get the Triforce of Courage, as we are destined. Here is a new enemy. It looks a lot more intimidating than it is. This guy's called a Faux Tail, but if you manage to close the distance on him, you can just smack him with your sword, and he really isn't that much difficult. But if you don't close the distance, he'll just keep you at bay with his spell, so just get in close to him as quickly as you can. So there's a ton of rooms here. This palace is huge, and I do not go through all of the rooms because it just takes huge detours, but I do get all the items and everything. This screen, I don't know what happened, but there's no enemies here at all. Which is kind of interesting, I suppose. Here's another Faux Tail. And you can see that the statue at the top also shoots fire at you, so you want to be careful with that. And then head down the elevator. And then there's a bunch of blocks in the screen, and you can kind of Minecraft your way across here. Just being careful with these wolf heads. And again, these things are anti-gravity. They don't fall down once you remove the foundation from beneath it. Interesting. And here it is, the big nasty, the Foca. Probably the toughest enemy in the entire game. It's like a blue Iron Knuckle, except it flies around, it jumps, and it chases you endlessly. Look at this guy. He's chasing me all the way to the elevator. Those guys are ruthless. If you stop here, there's a secret wall. You can go to the left. And what's here is just a statue, and you can take a gamble, and you can get a magic potion here in case you've been using the shield spell or the heal spell or anything like that. And you need to refill your magic. There's an option. And then you can continue on down. Here's another Faux Tail. Again, just close the distance, and it really is not too bad. They just look intimidating, but they're not. Here's some more ropes. These dragon heads give 20 experience each. It's not too bad. And right here we are about to meet the most difficult enemy in the entire game. It's that Foca. that we saw earlier, except it's the blue one, so it's even more powerful, takes more hits to kill, does more damage. I mean, look at this guy. And unlike the other one where I just kind of ignored and just tried to run for my life, this one you do have to fight. And look at this guy, he's just crazy. See, because if you don't fight him and you have to break your way through those blocks, he's just gonna destroy you. And you know, after that entire difficult battle, he only gives you 100 experience points. It's quite lame. So be careful that bubble doesn't shoot up and smack you. Right here we have a new enemy. It's a King Bubble. It looks extremely terrifying. It's like a flying head of Satan or something. But there's another Fotail right after him. Not bad. And the Fotails actually give double the experience than those blue Focus that just destroy you. I mean, look at this guy, man. It's ridiculous. They do look pretty cool, though. They kind of look like a falcon. So just be patient with these guys and smack them. The best time to smack them is when they're coming down after jumping. At least that's what I found. And there's another King Bubble right there. And there are a couple of goodies I can get over here, and that's what I am headed to do right now. First of all, if you go to the right, there's this convenient staircase made out of blocks for you. There's a fairy right here, because you probably took a beating from that blue Foca. So there's a fairy to restore your health. And then you can make your way back and go to the left now. And there is the final Link doll of the game. Doesn't really serve that much purpose anymore, but since this is a 100% playthrough, I am getting everything, all the collectibles and all that. So there it is, that's the last one of the game. There's only one thing left to do, and you know what that is. That's restore the Triforce. So let me jump through these pillars and continue along my way in the Great Palace. So right here on the screen there's a secret hole. And I will show you that momentarily after I fight this guy. Oh, I'm sorry, it's on this screen right here. So this block right here, the fifth one from the left, if you break it there's a hole and you can fall through it obviously and encounter a new enemy, the Giant Bubble. This guy looks awesome. Once you kill him, he splits up into a bunch of little bots, but as you notice, these bots are a lot stronger. They take several more hits to kill, and they also give you 10 experience each instead of 2. So you can get a ton of experience from that guy. The Giant Bot. And then over here on this screen, there is this hole over here that looks like it's kind of like a well. So you can drop down that thing, and that's where you need to go. And there is a magic jar here, if you're lucky. There will be a magic jar in that block right there to restore your magic. Make sure you do have magic, because you're going to be wanting to use 2 spells for this fight right here. This is Thunderbird. He's one of the massive enemies of the Great Palace. You want to use your jump spell so you can jump around and fight him more efficiently. You'll notice he's red, that means he's invulnerable. But if you use a thunder spell, he becomes blue, and then he actually becomes vulnerable to your sword slashes. So just jump around, avoid these flames, and hit him. Be patient, don't feel like you have to hit him every time he's within range. Focus more on dodging his flames and smacking him whenever you have the opportunity. I could have done this fight a lot faster, but probably at the expense of getting hit, which is not worth it, because it just isn't. You never want to get hit. So every time I fight this guy, he just reminds me of some Aztec god or something, or some Mayan god, I don't know. He's pretty cool, very cool enemy. And once you defeat him, you can grab this key and make your way to the right. And here we have what we've been fighting for this entire time, the Triforce of Courage. So we've beaten Zelda II, The Adventure of Link. Or have we? Here the producers put some philosophical stuff in here, where Link has to face the ultimate opponent, which is, of course, himself. So if you're into that philosophy bullcrap, there you go. This is Dark Link, the final boss of the game. And he makes several appearances in some other Zelda games. Always an epic fight. This guy is epic. The best way to hit him is when he's coming down from a jump. There is a glitch in the game where you can stand to the very left of the screen, just crouch, and just stab like crazy, and you'll kill him pretty easily that way, but that's very cheap. I like to fight him this way instead. Just a classic duel, Link versus Dark Link. And once Link conquers himself, he can conquer the Triforce of Courage and awaken the sleeping Princess Zelda. So this is a very difficult battle. Use your shield spell if you have to, but once you defeat him, Link moonwalks back to the center of the screen, and this little old man, who's the size of Link's calf, gives him the Triforce of Courage. So guys, it has been a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed watching this series as much as I enjoyed making it. I hope you enjoy the ending. If you enjoy Zelda, please be sure to subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be going through all of the Zelda games eventually. Next up is A Link to the Past. So enough with my rambling. Enjoy the ending credits to the game. Thanks again for watching.